però fa quello. Forse sono in grado di gestire la telecamera mentre gestisce la connessione.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. We wait a couple of minutes as I see people are still joining the session, and then we start, even less than 2 minutes, 1 minute, and we start our e-training on exploitation of H2020 project results. Okay. So welcome everybody to this Enriching Brazil e-training. We'll be focusing today on exploitation of H2020 project results. I am Chiara Davalli, and I'm Senior Project Leader at EBN, the European Business Innovation Center Network, one of the partners of ENRICH in Brazil. Before telling you a little bit about this project, that it's also a center, so a well-established association, I just want to mention a couple of technical information. So the first one is that the session is recorded. And the second one is that I would invite you all to please raise your questions and comments in the chat box you see on your screen on this GoToWebinar platform. So, having said this, let me tell you really in a nutshell what is ENRICH in Brazil. It is an association that aims at providing state-of-the-art in innovation policy, research, and making. We are here to connect key players and innovators between Europe and Brazil, and also connect solutions and build indeed long-lasting partnerships. Here you see a picture of how the network looked like not even 1 month ago, because over the last 1 month we have recruited 10 new members, most of them in Brazil. Either they are Brazilian organizations or representatives of European organizations or member states based in Brazil. As you can see, we have representatives of both European and Brazilian research, development, innovation actors. And we started as an EC-funded project under Horizon 2020, and the project is about to finish. Will end this first experience in December, but a good outcome of the project is indeed the establishment of an independent association, ENRICH in Brazil, that I'm presenting you today. On another note, ENRICH in Brazil, thanks to another funding of the European Commission, is going to expand its activities to other Latin American countries for the next 3 years. So stay tuned, because as of January, our offer is going to even grow further. Our offer that can be summarized in 4 clusters of activities: executive education and trainings, high-level networking, solution and funding matchmaking, and soft landing hubs, meaning internationalization support, inbound and outbound from Brazil. Couple of initiatives that I would recommend you to look at are, for example, the podcast, the Innovation Station of ENRICH in Brazil. Every week we release a new episode with European and Brazilian stakeholders interacting and exchanging around relevant collaboration opportunities, innovation policies, and so on, in different sectors. We have a series of roundtables that engage different EU member states that present their bilateral collaboration, cooperation opportunities and plans with Brazil. And next one is tomorrow, and we'll be focusing on Ireland, Brazil, and Hungary, Brazil opportunities. And these other initiatives ENRICH Brazil in Brazil H2020 project focus, and actually the meeting, the training we are having today is coming out, is a result of this initiative. Basically, we contacted all those projects funded under the Horizon 2020 program that involved both European and Brazilian partners. And we offer them different types of support, mainly for dissemination and exploitation purposes. So in terms of exploitation, we are here today with our colleagues from Meta Group to do an introductory training on this key aspect of projects, Horizon 2020 projects. And plus, we are supporting disseminations of these projects and their outcomes through our channels. We also have a matchmaking platform that for the moment is focusing on EU-Brazil research, technology, innovation actors and opportunities. But as I was telling you, as of 2021, we'll open up the platform to other Latin American, Caribbean countries. I stop here, and I again invite you to engage in this training with our trainers, and to please come back to me or to my colleagues at ENRICH in Brazil for further questions or further support. I now give the floor to Andrea Di Anselmo, who's the Vice President of Meta Group, and he will be running this training. Together with him is also Alessia Melasecche, who's the responsible person in Meta Group for the H2020 result booster. So definitely two persons that are very good contacts and experts in the field we are about to dig into. So, Andrea, I'm going to give you the floor. Just let me do this change.
In the meantime, good afternoon to everybody. Thank you, Chiara, for the nice introduction. It's a pleasure for me to be here with all of you and to introduce you to the challenge of exploitation. Just give me a few seconds to share the screen. And we are together with my colleague Alessia, who is, by the way, also the project manager and the project director of the Horizon Results Booster, which is the service contract wanted by the European Commission to help all the FP7 and H2020 projects to better tackle the challenge of exploitation and dissemination. But we will learn about this later on. Come si chiama questo? Okay. No. Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yes. But do you also see this panel on the side or just the screen?
No, just the screen.
Okay, great. So we are ready to start. As Chiara said, this is a webinar, but please let's make it as interactive as possible. So whenever you feel to ask a question, please either ask it on the chat or raise your hands, and then we'll be happy to reply. So today I will introduce you about exploitation in Horizon 2020, and I will guide you through also some tools that can be useful to better understand what exploitation is. The main element as a background is that the European Commission, as many other donors, invested million or billion of euro, dollars, or whatever currency you would like to use in research. And now, I mean, all these donors are looking for the results of this investment, and are looking for understanding how this investment resulted in, at the end of the day, competitiveness for companies, economic and social growth. So the European Commission, it's putting forward all the services and all the tools in order to stimulate dissemination and exploitation research results, and improve their external uptake, to improve how these results can be used in terms of policy making, and also to better understand what the impact of these results is going to be. What we will do together is to understand the link in between impact, user results, and exploitation. We will also try to get a better view of the differences in between exploitation and dissemination. We will understand and try to get an insight on how we can characterize a result in the view of using and disseminating it. We will understand what is important to plan in order to be ready to exploit after the end of the project. And then Alessia will also introduce us on the Horizon Result Booster, which is this framework service that is going to help Horizon 2020 projects in exploiting and disseminating results. In order to get the link in between results, impact, and use, I found this picture extremely significant. Just imagine that the bullet that hits the planet, which by the way is not our Earth, is the result. And let's assume that the planet, the target, is the challenge we are addressing, and let's say the target groups which feel this challenge the most. Impact is the result of the bullet hitting the target. So it's the effect of the use of the result on the challenge. It's the modifications that the result, thanks to its use, does on the challenge. Keep this in mind, because if the bullet doesn't hit the target, then there is no impact, which is very clear. If we visualize the picture, it may get confused if we think at our project or the activities we are performing in our project. But keep in mind, no result hitting the challenge, no impact. This is the definition of impact in Horizon 2020. I just would like to draw your attention on the last few words in the brackets, in the mid and long term. Why? Because most of the impact, if not all the impact, takes place, happens after the end of the project. And this is another thing we need to have extremely clear in mind. In order to achieve an impact, we need to make sure that our results are used after the end of the project. And unfortunately, the concept of after the end of the project creates a lot of challenges and problems. I guess this is something that we all have clear in mind. And exploitation is how to get a benefit from using a result, which is related to the effect and modifications that the ballot creates on the target. So these are the official definitions. And as far as we are concerned, it's important to understand that exploitation is not ticking a box. It's not something that we have to do because it's part of our work plan. It's something that we need to do because there is a deliverable linked to it. Exploitation is really connected to having an impact on the long term and making sure that this impact is sustainable, which doesn't mean sustainable in terms of environmental sustainability, but it means that it's sustainable in terms of economic sustainability, which means that we are able to continue to use it after the end of the project because we have the resources to do it. And it is clear that exploitation, since it has to make changes and create benefits both on the economic and social point of view, it's something that creates value. Now, when we highlight the fact that exploitation is something that creates value, we always get a question from the audience that says, we are a not-for-profit organization. Making money is not part of our mission. That at the end of the day means we don't care about exploitation. Unfortunately, or fortunately, creating value is not just generating revenues and seeking for profit. This is connected to value creation if we are a company, if we are an SME, if we are a startup, because our mission is to remunerate our shareholders. So profit and making revenues is important. But if we are a public organization, if we are a municipality, if we are a university, if we are an association, for us, exploiting, creating value has a different meaning, which means mainly that we are going to be able to better serve our constituencies, our members, our citizens, to provide them with better service, or to better provide them services, which means that for us, creating value is fulfilling an existing gap, corresponding to a need or to a demand. There is also a third leg of the exploitation process, a third way to generate value, which is related to assets, intangible assets, which means increasing the skill set. Sorry. Increasing the skill set of our organization, increasing the internal knowledge, and being able to make this knowledge from tacit to explicit in order to be used in our internal processes. Whenever you need to ask questions, please do. We said impact, we said use, we said exploitation, and now we see what a result is, and even better, what a key exploitable result is. A key exploitable result is not one of the many results. It's not just a deliverable, but it's a result which we selected to be used or to be introduced to market, which means that this is a result that is capable and able to respond to a specific need or to a specific demand of a well-defined target group, a well-defined group of customers. So this could be a new product, a new process, a new service, but it can also be a new policy instrument, a new standard, a new training course, or if we finish our project at a very low TRL level. TRL stands for Technology Readiness Level, and it's a way to identify the overall maturity of a result. So if we finish at a very low TRL, then a possible use, it's also being the input for a new project which aims at increasing the TRL. A patent is not a key exploitable result. The result is the technology that may be protected using a patent. The result is that piece of intellectual property, and then according to the use model, the way we are going to use it, in the process of using that result, we may need to patent and protect. But the patent itself is never a result. Be careful, please, because I know happened several times that a project came out with very important scientific results, but an amazing result doesn't automatically translate into an amazing impact, for a simple reason that if that result is not used, there is no way we generate an impact. Why I am insisting so much on impact? Impact is not just important because we promised impact in our description of work. It's not important because we agreed with the European Commission in achieving an impact when we signed the grant agreement. It's important because when we are going to prepare the next proposal, if we don't have clear in our mind the relationship in between results, challenges, and use, and if we are not able to explain this clearly when we describe impact, when we describe the exploitation and dissemination work package, there is no way we're going to get a good scoring, and there is no way we're going to get financed. So keep in mind the picture also for the future. Use. We committed ourselves in using the results. When we signed the grant agreement, we agreed that if the result is not going to be used in the next 4 years after the end of the project, the European Commission has the right to get the money back. So this is a very, very strong statement that highlights how important is the use of a result. As I said, use could be of any type: commercial, societal, political, or just to increase the skill set and intangible assets of an organization, of a group of people. But what is very important is that use could be either by the project partners, so the ones who sign the grant agreement, which commit themselves in using the result by themselves, or by others, by third parties. And in this case, the project partners commit themselves in facilitating exploitation by others. And these two different categories, by the partners and by third parties, brings to the definition of direct and indirect use. Direct use is project partners alone or together with others, using the result in future research activities if TRL is low, or if TRL is higher, committing to themselves to develop, create, and eventually market a product, a process, to provide a service, or to mobilize a new standard or a new policy measure. Indirect use is when a third party uses the results and we commit ourselves in facilitating the use through transferring the results to them, which means that piece of intellectual properties is sold to a third party, or licensing to a third party, which means that we keep the property, but we assign the other the right of using that result. Again, some confusion here. Somebody says that a spin-off is indirect use. Again, a spin-off, it's part of the process of using a result by a third party, because a spin-off it's always a third party, and a spin-off it's always linked either to the transfer of a result or to a licensing agreement. The only way that a spin-off can use a result that's been generated by the project partners is that the project partners assign to the spin-off either the property of the result, transfer of the result, or the right to use it, licensing. Now I would like to clarify something that generates confusion and problems. I've read hundreds of dissemination exploitation work packages, hundreds of progress reports, and I always noticed confusion in between exploitation and dissemination. They are not the same thing. They are two different things, and even if the European Commission says dissemination and exploitation, maybe because they like the alphabetical order, I have to say that if you haven't done exploitation actions and activities, and if you haven't analyzed the result under the exploitation point of view, there is no way you can disseminate. So if we don't follow the alphabetical order and we follow the logical order, we should say exploitation and dissemination. But exploitation for sure is conflicting and is having, needs to be put face to face with dissemination. Dissemination is making available results so that they can be used, and is related to describing the result. And dissemination targets the audiences that may use that result. Exploitation is not, it's on the other side, making use of a result. And exploitation addresses the ones that will make a concrete use of the result, which means either the partners or the third parties, but within the project life, the partners that will use by itself or will facilitate the use of results. And please note that they refer to two different articles of the grant agreement. And now I'm going to show you activities that characterize the different phases that connect exploitation and dissemination. And here you can see that actions and content of actions is different. Making use of results means bringing to market products or services, or executing contract research, which at the end of the day is a very specific type of service. Making sure that a policy measure, approving a policy measure, publishing a new standard, or getting a new standard ready. Dissemination is making sure that there is a scientific publication, making sure that the policy briefs, making sure that we execute and realize workshops, that we have a demo plan, that there is an online repository, or we take part of a trade fair. So you can see that things are extremely different. And of course, in order to facilitate the use by third parties, we need to do activities related to innovation management, management of data, and preparation of a business plan. And of course, we need to make sure that there is a patent, that there is, for example, a license agreement, and there is a startup or a spin-off created if we go for indirect use. To tell you the truth, if there is confusion in between dissemination and exploitation, there is even more confusion in between communication and dissemination. And to tell you the truth, it took me a while to understand the difference, but there is a big difference. Communication is about project results and reaching out the widest possible audience. And what dissemination is, we already learned, but the only important thing is that dissemination concerns only the results and not the overall project. So when we do dissemination, we shouldn't care about informing on work packages, partnerships, activity performed. When we do dissemination, we just need to focus on results. A project website is a typical communication tool. A guided visit is a typical dissemination action. And what is important to understand is that exploitation requires a process with different steps, along which validation is extremely important. And when I say validation, it means that it is a sort of scientific method. Actually, is the application of the scientific method to using the results. We make assumptions and we validate assumption with a test with potential customers. We are very good to do this in the lab. We fail, I would say, 99.99% of the cases to do this when it goes to use a result. We tend to assume our assumptions as true assumptions, and we tend to forget that in order to prove that they are valid, we need to go out of the lab and execute an experiment. Execute an experiment outside the project partners, involving our potential customers. And of course, it's a process that ends with the preparation of the business plan or the plan for exploiting and disseminating results, which explains clearly what we will do after the project ends. And it's the basic document in order to raise funds. Because it is clear that when the project ends, we are also run out of cash. And as Americans that are extremely good in this used to say, cash is king. Without funds, there is not going to be any use, which means no impact. Now I would like to give the floor to Alessia, that will introduce you Horizon Result Booster and its services. And Alessia, when you need to change the screen, you just let me know.
Okay, thank you very much, Andrea. Good afternoon to you all. And I'm somehow following what Andrea told you, presenting an initiative which is fully backed by the European Commission, DG RTD, which is the Horizon Results Booster. This initiative has just been kicked off in May this year, and it will last for the next 4 years, so plenty of opportunities. There is a nice platform through which you can have all the needed information on how to submit your request. But what are we talking about? We are providing dissemination and exploitation services to FP7 and H2020 projects, ongoing or closed, completely free of charge, because, as I was saying, the initiative is fully backed by the European Commission. There is a list of services that I'm going to present you in a few minutes, which can be requested a la carte. This means that there is a list and you can pick all the services that you would like to benefit from completing the application. All the services are delivered by experts appointed by us and of course approved by the European Commission, that will deliver the services remotely and virtually. Andrea, can you please change slide? Thank you. So here you have the list of services that could be requested by project coordinators or partners to the Horizon Results Booster. The first two services, which are Module A and Module B, are related to dissemination. In reality, those are devoted to project groups. So this means to clusters of projects, but an individual project can request the entry level, which is the module A, the first service you have in the list, and then the expert can suggest other projects to group with. Because the dissemination services under this initiative are meant to be for joint dissemination, because the Commission didn't want to overlap and have a problem of double funding with a budget that projects already have for dissemination activities, you know, with a dedicated budget. So this is joint dissemination for project group. In the first service, module A, we create a common portfolio of results among the projects which have been grouped to be then further disseminated together. In the module B, which is the second service you have here listed, what we are doing is to prepare a joint dissemination plan and give you ideas, suggestions, tips, insights on how to execute it. So the first two services are on dissemination. If you have, if you are an individual project and you are interested, you can submit your application. And then, as I said, experts will suggest you other projects to group with. If you're already an up and running cluster or group of projects, you can apply as a project group with the applicant being the leading one with the, you know, working mainly with the experts. In any case, the module B, so the dissemination plan, is only for project groups. So if you do not have a project groups, you cannot directly access to the second service. The third service you have in the list is what we call the exploitation strategy seminar. Is the entry point for exploitation services, and here the experts support the project to go from the level of awareness raising on exploitation till the level of helping project partners to characterize, assess risks, draft an exploitation, start exploitation roadmap with project partners. Then this could be followed by a business plan development in which we work on one key exploitable result to prepare a business plan or action plan for exploitation. The last set of services which are available for projects are the services which go under the go-to-market category, which is the last one. And actually this is divided in other 6 subtypes of services, which is, first one is the pitching, so the how to pitch. So we prepare you to, you know, have your slide deck ready for your pitching events. IPR support, this is an entry-level type of support because the European Commission already has a lot of different initiatives that are addressing IPR, like the IPR desk and others. And therefore, this is the kind of service that helps you to understand which is the most suitable type of service to access to them. Then we have the innovation management, which is a specialized training. Then exploitation options and business services go more in the direction to help you with your exploitation plan, different exploitation options, or to understand which is the business potential of what you would like to do. Finally, we have the access to non-EU funding, which could be, you know, useful to complement with the EU funding that you are already receiving or you plan to receive with a follow-up projects. As I was saying at the beginning, all of the services could be requested through the application form, so each project can access to all the services. Those services could even be requested at the same time. The only one for which you need to be really careful of are the go-to-market ones, because there is a limited amount of services that could be requested among the 6. So it's better first to benefit from the others and then to agree with the experts which are the most useful for the specific case of the project. Actually, applications are always open, so at any time you can submit your application. Once the application is submitted, the European Commission makes a first eligibility check. Then when the eligibility is checked by the Commission, we appoint a service team for the delivery. Again, there is approval of the Commission to check that the expertise of the appointed expert is the right one to deliver the service. And then the service delivery can start. Then, of course, it's a matter of agreeing among the applicant or the project partners and the appointed expert on the delivery. And actually, we do have, of course, standard methodologies and tools that we use, which have been proved delivering the same type of services for the last 8 years to more than 800 projects at the European Commission level. And therefore, we are, I have to say, pretty experienced. Actually, Meta Group is the leading partner of a consortium, which includes as well Ecoris Consulting. We do have as well BDO. We have Trust IT and Icons, which are two dissemination partners. We have two identified subcontractors, which are P&O Consulting and the Improve Academy for the Innovation Management. And as I said, Andrea, please.
No, dicevo, okay, thank you very much, Alessia. Please.
No, so this is how it works. And actually, if you go on the website, you find how to apply all the information. And then if you have any interest or question, you can, of course, ask now or ask later on through the email. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. I was just, speeding up because we still have to introduce you to a couple of tools that you will have the chance to apply. Also requesting these Horizon Resource Booster services. Among the different services that Alessia was mentioning for IPR support, there is the IP Booster. IP Booster is a service just for public research organizations who need external advice in order to better understand the positioning of their IP, intellectual property, and to understand its value, to get support in the protection process and eventually in the negotiation. Again, this is a service that is at no cost for the beneficiaries because it's a service provided by experts paid by the European Commission. Again, you can apply to the IP Booster online through the IP Booster website. Just Google it and use this opportunity. Now, I would like to briefly present you a couple of tools that are extremely useful to understand a key exploitable result and to plan actions in order to make sure that the results are used in the future. The first tool is the characterization table. The characterization table is a sort of guide that helps us to understand our key exploitable result from the point of view of the problems. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Lean Canvas and Lean Startup approach. Not the business model canvas, but the Lean Canvas. The characterization table is based on the assumption that if you provide a solution to a problem, then there is going to be somebody who is willing to use it. So if you start from the problem, there is always the opportunity to connect to a customer and a user. And it's based on the fact that we, with our solution, are able to solve that problem much better than what are called the alternative solutions. So much better of how that problem owner is trying to solve the problem today. If we fail to demonstrate and to communicate our value proposition, our unique value proposition, then there is no way somebody is going to use our solution, whatever the solution is going to be. And if you think at what a unique value proposition is, which means solving the problem much better than others, you may also understand that the unique value proposition is extremely close to the definition of being innovative. Because being innovative means being able to solve a problem much better than the others in a novel way. And only at this point, we are able to describe our key exploitable result, which means are able to explain how we deliver the unique value proposition. So based on this, the characterization table allow us to first focus on the problem and have a clear identification of the problem. So the problem cannot be too much hydrogen carboxide on the atmosphere. This is a too general problem. The problem has to be extremely focused and extremely close to the problem owner, to the customer. Once we have identified the problem and we have identified who are the ones who feel the problem much stronger than the others, the early adopters, then we identify alternative solutions. How these early adopters are solving the problem so far. And only at this point, looking at the problem, at the alternative solution, and knowing our innovation, we can come up with a unique value proposition that says how much we are solving that problem better than the alternative solutions. At this point, we describe the solution. We illustrate how our solution, our innovation, being it a product, a service, a new policy or standard, a new training course, how this is solving that problem better than alternative solutions. Having done this, of course, we identify the target market. What are the features of the target market, the trends, segmentation, and we explain our business model, our use model, business in brackets, of course, and with a double and with a S, but it's how we are going to make that result available to customers, which could be through licensing, through direct sale, through contract research, providing training, these kind of things. Once we identify the use model, we can clarify the early adopters and the competitors. Of course, the competitors are linked to the use model, because if we are going to provide our solution within a license deal, our competitors are not the companies manufacturing that specific piece of device, but are the ones or the organization developing the solution, owning a similar intellectual property, having the same knowledge. So our competitors could be, for example, other research centers. And then we provide information about the go-to-market, which means what is the background, who owns the needed knowledge in order to develop a solution, the foreground, who owns the result, and the time to market, how long it takes for our solution to be ready for market. Going through the process in this way helps us to better characterize the key exploitable result on a problem-based logic, and helps us to plan what we need to prepare during the project life to face the first 3-6 months after the project ends, without or trying to mitigate the risk of running out of cash. And here you can see that we can describe action, identify roles, and assign roles to our partners, identify milestones and monitoring parameters, because an action plan cannot be executed if we cannot monitor. And then we need to identify costs, revenues, and how to cover the initial costs while we expect revenues to come in. Looking at the exploitation roadmap, drafting it, validating it thanks to the information we collect during the demonstration stages, discussing it with partners, allow us again to minimize the risk or not the risk of running out of cash. Very, very important, and this is something that we never think at. So having said this, I would like to leave you with this phrase that of course is not mine, but highlights the importance of being able to communicate and disseminate. Thank you very much. Thank you to all.
Thank you, Andrea.
Questions.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Alessia. Thank you both for your presentation, training, actually. I see there is a question in the chat. Let me see. Okay, there is a question that is specifically about the Horizon Results Booster. So
okay.
Philippe Turner is thanking you for the presentation, and looking through the Horizon Results Booster website, he sees that Module C is aimed at assisting projects to improve their exploitation strategy. Would this include help identifying policy forums and meetings where our policy recommendations could be shared?
Yes. This is part of the process. Of course, the module C is, as I was saying, the entry point and exploitation. During the exercise that the experts do with the beneficiaries, actually the work is done around 3 key exploitable results identified by project partners. Of course, 3 because it's a matter of time. Then, you know, methodologies and tools and suggestions could be then transferred to the other key exploitable results of the project. And among, of course, the strategies and what could be done in terms of activities, there is as well to identify the target audiences.
Great. I think this answers the question by Philippe. Is there any other question from the audience? Please write it down in the chat. So I also have another question about the booster. You were mentioning that both coordinators and partners can apply, and so is this only for European partners, as this is a EU-Brazil project? I mean, focus of our training. So can Brazilian partners of Horizon 2020 project can access the service or not?
Yes, actually they can, because actually the service is meant to be for the project.
Okay.
And therefore, no matter who is the applicant on behalf of the project, it's clear that if a partner is applying, requesting a service, this should be, of course, agreed as well with the coordinator and the other partners. But this doesn't mean that partners from Brazil cannot access directly. We had somehow a different question, but you can understand why I'm saying this. I had a question from a UK partner asking if they could, you know, request the service, and the Commission said it's no matter where the partner is based. The important thing is that it comes from a FP7 or H2020, closed or ongoing project. Now, of course, for the future, of course, Horizon Europe projects as well.
Great, thank you, Alessia. Another question again from about the Horizon Results Booster by Fatima Dargam. Is it a practice to state already in the project proposal that the consortium will be using the Horizon Results Booster available support in the dissemination and exploitation part?
I mean, it's something that in some cases happened. I mean, I delivered services in the past to projects which already identified the fact that they would have benefit from, you know, those type of initiative. Of course, was not the Horizon Results Booster, but the previous editions of that. And therefore, but I mean, it's not mandatory clearly, but I think that to the extent that this is coherent and consistent with what is written in the proposal, why not?
Actually, I take this as I note it down, because indeed exploitation is always something that remains a bit vague, especially for projects where, for example, EBN is participating. There are more coordination and support actions, and I think that
just to let you know something.
Yeah, please.
Something curious which happened during the last info day we had with the POs at the Commission. So it was, you know, an event meant to explain to the POs at the Commission that, you know, what the service is about. And one PO raised the point that delivering this type of services, we are empowering some partners to be, you know, more competitive in then writing the next proposals and being so more competitive than others who didn't benefit from such services because they have more tools and methodologies at their disposal. They know how to approach this, you know, tricky part which is related to dissemination and exploitation.
Yeah, actually the impact dimension of Horizon 2020 proposal is key, and as far as I understood, also in Horizon Europe, it will be even more important probably. So definitely. There is a question from, Fatima is thanking you for the session, and Berna, a colleague of mine in the project from FFG, is asking, there are thousands of FP7 and H2020 projects. How is the selection being made?
It's, you know, you submit your application till there is the budget, things are going, because we are, I mean, the Commission is approving applications every day. Actually, you have to know that there is a big budget behind by the Commission, because it's a 12 million budget for these 4 years, and therefore, of course, I mean, it won't be possible to serve all the projects, but I'm confident that, you know, the projects that will submit requests mainly in the first months, the first years, they will be for sure served. Moreover, when applying, you can, I mean, indicate a tentative period in which you would like the service to be delivered, which is not necessarily, you know, in the following month, but could even be in 1 year time. So you can book somehow the service delivery, and then you can adjust the timing with the experts.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you for the information. Okay, I think we are about to close our session, unless there are other questions from the audience. I would thank you both, Andrea and Alessia, for your time and inputs for today. Also for having shared. I liked very much these visuals that sometimes speak more than words. to understand concepts that are not that difficult, but usually stay a bit vague. And I think for those that are in framework programs, I mean in projects funded by EC funded framework programs, these concepts, and actually more than concepts, these activities are more and more important and relevant, especially because policymakers, but also I think applicants wants to really make the most out of the projects, so that the results have a life beyond the grant we receive. So thank you for your inputs. Thank you for having introduced the booster, the Horizon Results booster. And I'm pretty sure that if interested, our participants will come back to you for further questions or clarifications. In the meantime, let's say, guys, I mean, those who are on this session today, but also those who will be watching the recordings, feel free to get in touch with ENRICH in Brazil, who is working as a hub for you to then get reconnected to experts and partners that can support you with your RTI projects, and, for example, introduce you to partners like Meta Group for this type of information and services. So it was really a pleasure to host this session today. I look forward to seeing you in other ENRICH in Brazil sessions in the coming weeks. And so see you soon. Thank you again, Alessia and Andrea. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.